One of the most commonly asked questions that I get in my videos and my live streams is how to deal with confrontation. Now, I want to go back to a discussion that me and my friend Bryce Wilson had a couple of months ago about fighting. Okay, we were talking about fighting and what we would do if somebody were to press us and things like that. And we kind of came to the consensus that fighting is generally not worth it. It's generally not worth it because there's nothing to really gain from fighting. Now, with that being said, a few days ago, I had the chance to actually test my theory in real time. So me and my friend Kendrick, aka Awaken PSD, shout out to him. Me and my friend Kendrick were at the mall. It's this mall called Grapevine Mall in Grapevine, Texas. It's a mall that me and him both used to work at. And on top of that, it was our first time seeing each other since February or March of this year. It's August as I'm filming this. So we were having a great time. We were talking about some of our old times working at the jobs that we worked at that mall. And we're sitting down on one of the little couches or the chairs that they have in the middle of the mall. And this guy walks in front of us. Now, this guy was maybe 6'3", okay, tall guy. He's pretty big. He wasn't super muscular. He wasn't a bodybuilder or anything, but he was a pretty physically imposing guy. Face tats. He's wearing all red. And he had this demeanor about him that let me know off rip before we even interacted with him that he was on demon time. He was a certified menace. Anybody who has a star tattoo on their face is a certified menace by default. So this guy walks in front of us, and I noticed that he's looking at us, looking at me in particular, but he's looking at us, and me and him make eye contact. Now, typically, I don't like to make eye contact with strangers because I find it to be pretty awkward and uncomfortable. And I also find that it can lead to confrontational situations like this one right here. But nevertheless, me and him made eye contact, and I think for a split second, I kind of fell into my toxic masculinity, and I didn't want to break eye contact with him first. But he was keeping eye contact for a lot longer than your typical stranger should or would. So I broke eye contact for a second, but I saw out of my peripheral that he was still staring at me, still looking directly into my eyes, directly into my soul, like he was trying to find all of my life secrets. So I looked back at him. I looked directly into his eyes again. Pause. I looked directly into his eyes again, and I saw him mouth. I didn't hear him say it. I kind of heard him say it, but I mostly saw him mouth, "The fuck y'all looking at?" Now, in that moment, I had a few choices. I could A, let the situation slide because this guy clearly wants trouble, okay, who walks around the mall pressing random people. B, I could confront the guy and say, "Who the fuck are you looking at? You were looking at me first." And I wouldn't have been wrong because he was looking at me first. Or C, I could ask him why he did it. Why are you being so hostile? Now, my initial impulse was to do that. I wanted to know why he was so hostile, why he felt so angry that he felt the need to press other people, random people that he had never seen nor talked to before in the mall of all places. Okay, who walks around the mall pressing people like it's his full-time job or something? Like I said, he was wearing all red. I don't want to make any assumptions about what he claims or anything like that, but it's pretty apparent that the guy was up to no good. Also, I forgot to mention, but he was a black guy, and I'm going to tie that back in later on in this video. But I picked the first option. Okay, like I said, my initial impulse was to pick the third option, but I ended up picking the first option. I gave him a head nod. He just kept walking, and he still had this demeanor about him. He's walking like he's up to no good. Okay, you guys get the picture. And me and Kendrick just continued talking. Kendrick was like, "Do you know that guy?" And I said, "No, I don't. And honestly, I don't want to either, but I digress." It kind of bothered me, not because he pressed me and Kendrick, but because he pressed us in particular out of everybody in the mall. And the reason why it bothered me is because, like I said, he's a black guy, and me and my friend Kendrick, we're both black. I'm half black, but upon first impression, if you just look at me, I look like I'm black. So he pressed the only two black guys that were within, I guess, earshot distance. And it really confused me. But by the end of the day, I kind of put the pieces together and I realized why not only him, but so many other black men are so hostile. It's because black men, in my opinion and in my observations, are the most insecure demographic of people that there are on this planet. They're the most insecure. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think this because on the surface level, black men are typically very, very confident. They have this bravado, this charisma. And I'm not saying that all black men are insecure, but a lot of that bravado and a lot of that charisma and a lot of that anger and hostility especially are rooted in insecurity. And I need you guys to understand that. I need you guys to understand that the most aggressive and hostile of people are typically the most insecure because they have the most to prove. And that's why they walk around the mall at 4:15 p.m. on a Wednesday pressing random people. Okay, nobody who's at peace with themselves is going to do that. Nobody who's at peace with themselves is going to do that. And I'm not making this video to talk about black men, but I think it's a great example, especially as a young black man myself. And I know that some of you guys are young black men who maybe look up to me because I'm a young black man who's doing my thing, so on and so forth. But I need you guys to understand that this macho, bravado, aggressive, hostile demeanor, it doesn't get you anywhere in life other than 6 feet under or a prison cell. It doesn't get you anywhere. It does not get you anywhere. And the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because it brought me back to the conversation that I had with my friend Bryce, where we came to the conclusion that fighting is almost never worth it. 99.9% of the time, fighting is not worth it. And that other 0.1% of the time that it is either if you're a professional fighter or looking to be a professional fighter, or if you're in a position where you are genuinely defending your life. There is no other circumstance where fighting is necessary. Any other circumstance where you're fighting over pride. And that is a fight that you will always lose, even if you win. You could win the battle, but you've lost the war. The devil got you. You already lost. Never fight over pride. A lot of people clowned Will Smith, myself included, but a lot of people clowned Will Smith for what he did to Chris Rock on stage in front of thousands of people or even millions of people when you take into account the internet. But truth be told, a lot of you guys would have reacted the same way. A lot of you guys would have let your pride overtake your peace. You would have prioritized your pride over your peace. When you remove the audience, you remove the platform, and you just consider, let's say, for example, you're walking down the street with your girlfriend or your wife, and somebody cracks a joke about your wife. What are you going to do? A lot of you guys would take offense and you'd probably press the guy, just like Will Smith did. Will Smith just so happened to do it in front of more people. And a lot of you guys, the reason why you made fun of him for it, the reason why you put him down about it, myself included, is because deep down it struck a nerve with you. It struck a nerve with your own insecurities, with your own toxic masculinity. You see, a lot of people, they have these perceptions about toxic masculinity, but they don't know what it really is. Now, I guess it's open for interpretation, but here's my definition of toxic masculinity. Toxic masculinity is when your confidence and your self-worth are contingent upon external factors, especially your pride. Your pride is external. Your pride is purely external, and do not let anyone convince you differently, because your pride is solely contingent upon how other people perceive you. If other people didn't exist, your pride wouldn't exist. Pride is an external concept. It's based on how you assume that other people see you. A lot of people mask that notion with the justification that, oh, my pride is attached to my values. But it's not. It's not. If you truly valued yourself and your life and your well-being, if you loved yourself, you wouldn't feel the need to walk around pressing random people in the mall. And you wouldn't feel the need to retaliate against people who walk around in the mall and press you, because you know to prioritize your peace over your pride. And that's why I'm very proud of myself for how I reacted that day, because there was a point in time in my life, believe it or not, where I was a very hot-tempered person. As a kid, I was known for sudden, extreme outbursts of violence, especially against older kids. I don't know why I always got into it with older kids, but I did, and I was known to use weapons, and I was known to inflict genuine damage on people because I was angry, because I had a lot of anger in me from watching these rap videos and hearing all of these people that I looked up to talk about violence, as well as traumatic events that I experienced during my youth. When I was 6 years old, I saw my dad almost get jumped. I saw 4 or 5 guys press him, and I remember in that moment feeling so helpless that I knew that I would never let anything like that ever happen again on my watch. I would never let any of my loved ones or myself get pressed like that on my watch. Eventually, I realized that it was a situation that was beyond my control, and it was a situation that could have been avoided. What did my dad do? He walked away. He walked away, and I commend him for that, because a lot of people, they would have let their pride put them in a very dangerous position, especially with their kid present, and who knows what could have happened from there. Who knows what those guys had on them? You see, that's why you can't ever fight random people in the street over pride, because you don't know what these people have on them. You don't know what these people are capable of. I could have pressed that guy at the mall, and who knows, maybe I could have won, but who knows what he had on him? Maybe I could have lost. Maybe I could have lost my life. Maybe me and my friend could have lost our lives because of my ignorance. But I made a decision that day. I made a decision to prioritize my peace over my pride, and I'm very proud of myself for that, because like I said, there was a point in time when that was not my frame of mind. I need you guys to understand that fighting is never worth it. 99.9% of the time is not worth it. Anytime you're about to fight somebody, you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? If you have time to ask yourself that question, you shouldn't be fighting them. You shouldn't. If you have time to ask yourself a question, that means that you're in a position where you have enough time to walk away.